And we are live. Whoop whoop. Number 2. This is the Live Drive Jive Archive Evening Edition with your host Frank Monday, coming at you on this, the 23rd of November, 2021. I hope you are doing well out in Happy Land. Y'all good looking, sexy people. Be well. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. All that old happy horse shit. All right. So I've thought about pursuing the angle of research into paranormal phenomena as the mainstay of this channel. And so I thought I would seek guidance from the timeless wisdom of ancient Chinese philosophy. So I went into the library today at school, and I started looking in the 100 schools of thought area of the library, which is where you're going to find most of your BC authors like Song Dynasty and reportedly Shang Dynasty guys, you know, Warring States period, Zhangguo, and spring and autumn period, that type of thing. And so I went in there, and what should happen to catch my eye but a copy of Zhuangzi. Now, in Chinese Taoism, there's 3 greats. Lao Tzu, Zhuangzi, and Mozi. So, Lao Tzu was all about like non-interference and moderation and following the way. His famous work is the Tao Te Ching, or the Book of Power and its application, or the Book of the Way and its virtue. Then Zhuangzi, the collection of Zhuangzi's works is just entitled Zhuangzi, right? So his name was Zhuangzhou, and then the Zi part of the names means like gentleman or elderly gentleman. So you've got Lao Tzu, the old guy, Zhuangzi, the other guy, and then Mozi. And Mozi's thing was more of like love and compassion. It's like the body of his teaching, kind of a Christ-like figure. And then Zhuangzi was like the Edgar Casey of the Warring States period. He was known as the sleeping prophet. So he used a technique of like lucid dreaming and bishan, or spirit writing, to come up with his stuff, supposedly. Anyway, I just randomly opened to, well, I picked up the Tao Te Ching, and I randomly opened to chapter 10. And I read it, and I was like, that doesn't really apply to what I'm asking about. I didn't think it did. It urged caution and moderation, and said that endeavors of decadence are, bound to fail, and they're only polishing the leaves of one's life's tree. And so I opened Zhuangzi randomly, and I opened to chapter 10. And wouldn't you know it, he was talking about a very similar type of idea, that the pursuit of knowledge, or the pursuit of goodness and righteousness and etiquette and all of these wonderful things, actually ruins society. And that getting back to the plain, unadorned truth, I mean, that's Laoism, or Taoism's all about that. So getting back to the plain, unadorned truth and the simpleness of life, that's what the Tao is all about. And I thought, okay, so there's the whole UFO observer phenomena that I've been working on. And I wanted to present some ideas on that. And Gray Lives Matter, right? GLM, Gray Lives Matter. And I thought, it's decadent, isn't it? I mean, you get a guy like Dark Journalist or Gigi Young or Richard Dolan, and they give, especially Richard Dolan, like that's his mainstay. And I think, how is it ever useful? And the truth is, it's not. You've got the fringe of a fringe, right? So people who actually have UFO observer events, they're the fringe. And then those that can define them as contact with the grays, that's the fringe of a fringe, right? And then its usefulness in the commons is dubious at best. So if you've got 10 billion people on Earth, then one Richard Dolan is enough. If you've got 8 to 10 billion people on Earth, one dark journalist is enough. So just be frank. Be Frank Monday. I think, so what's Frank Monday's racket? Is it paranormal researcher? Nah, not really. Like, as much as I love the subject and I want to research it, I gotta abide by the cautions of the mystery schools, in that you really shouldn't talk about it too much, because putting it into description is not the subtle truth. It's a description. It's the dredges left behind by the experience. It's not the experience. The flat earth paradigm, more decadence. I mean, does it really matter? I got into a debate recently on Mugbook with a friend, and he's like, oh, I already went down that rabbit hole. And I was like, well, what did you deduce then? And he said, I deduced that everything humanity knows about the cosmos amounts to like a fraction of a grain of sand in a river of timelessness filled with sand, and each grain of sand is a universe of timelessness filled with endless amounts of rivers of timelessness. I thought, well, fuck, that's helpful, huh? How does that serve us in any way? So basically his whole gig was, he's like, I don't want to get into it. Who cares? Fuck, if it's round, if it's flat, if it's convex, what's it matter? But I don't know, I kind of agree with Eric Dubay a little bit, that if there's a big Masonic conspiracy to poison everyone with this globe earth paradigm just to further hobble our ability to know the realm, I think it's kind of important, but it's not my gig. Eric Dubay already did it, right? That's his gig. On a planet of 10 billion people, 8 billion, whatever, 7.3 billion, one Eric Dubay is enough. One John Levy is enough. One Dr. Justin Sledge. One Dr. J.P. Farrell. Yeah. So I've always considered myself to be a bit more of a synthesizer. Like, I don't know, I've successfully in my life, what I've been able to do best is like the ringleader. Getting people to get, like, for example, when I have my swing class, I'm able to get everybody together and outline a good time, organize a good time, and then highlight each member of the gathering and let them shine. I use the analogy of my swing dance class. Do it one night a week and do 1 hour of class teaching and then a couple of hours of free dance. And a lot of times guys will show up and they'll hang around the class for a couple of years, and meanwhile they're out, at the other venues dancing on Friday, Saturday nights, so they're learning new things too. And I learn a lot of my stuff on going to occasional dances, what I studied in the past, and then I've got a whole collection of DVDs. So I'll try to review a few new moves every week, or moves that I already know that I need to review, and then put those together in the routine, teach the Shim Sham, teach the California routine, You get the idea. So I miss that. I miss doing Monday Night Swing. It's kind of a bummer that this whole Masonic conspiracy is just meant to be an attack on community and people's ability to socialize. Hope that's not too verboten, but that's the truth of it. Timothy Leary wrote about it, or I learned about it through Dr. Bob Wilson, but he said that Timothy Leary's the one that originally said it, and he quoted a passage, I think, from one of Leary's books, where he says whenever anybody's swinging with it and having a good time, you know, whether it be eating magic mushrooms or dropping LSD or doing the ayahuasca and the peyote, the only people who disapprove are the ones that are too scared to do it. Those who are brave enough and would do it aren't going to interfere with those who are getting it done. So the only ones who would cry foul are the ones who think, oh my God, what are you doing, you know? How dangerous must that be? And so they're scared and they don't want you to have any fun either, because they know you're fucking having fun, you know, you're really getting out there on the fringe of the fringe of the fringe. Let's see, there is a Lamborghini in front of me. I think it's a Lamborghini. Might be a Ferrari. And it's like if this guy got on it and launched, it's a Ferrari, a brand new one. Wow. But beautiful car. If he really got on it, I'd be stoked for him, you know, as long as he's being safe and he's whipping in and out of traffic or something, and, you know, got a nice expanse of road. I wouldn't begrudge him that, you know. If I seen a dude whacked out of his mind one time. I was like 11 or 12, and me and my brother and another guy were riding to the beach on our bicycles. We had beach cruisers with our surfboards strapped to the back of the bike, and we're just like little kids, and we're gonna ride down to the beach, you know. The beach was like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 miles away. It was a pretty good ride. And Eddie Piazza, the biggest crackhead in our neighborhood, was coming back, and he was on a beach cruiser too. And we're like, where'd you get that beach cruiser, Eddie? Because he was always stealing things. So anyway, he told us he stole the beach cruiser, and he's like, you think that's neat? He's like, check this out. And he's got like a headband on. He lifts it up, and there's a 10 strip of LSD of like white blotter on his forehead. And then he's like, and check this out. And then he sticks out his tongue, and he's got a big cardboard of 4-way window pane. And that's where I learned those 2 terms that day at the beach. I'm like, what's that? And he's like, it's acid, man. And I'm like, okay, what's that? And he's like, well, this is a 10 strip of white blotter, and the one on my tongue is a hit of 4-way window pane. And he's like, you want to smoke a joint? And I'm like, nah, man, my brother was the one talking to him, I think. My brother didn't like drugs, always, you know, scared of them, didn't want to try the drugs. And I was like, yeah, give me a hit LSD. And my brother's like, no, you can't do that, man. And so, why not? You know, I'm like 10, he's like 12 or 13 or something, you know. And Joe's like, I think Joe was a little bit older. I think he was 14. And so we're like little kids, pretty much. I mean, I'm a little kid, and they're like little bitty teenagers. And Eddie was like 25 or something. And he's like, yeah, you kids want some acid? And it's just that kind of shit that makes no fucking sense. And a little kid thinks it's candy, you know? They're like, yeah, sure. So assholes and idiots like that would give drugs to children, especially super powerful drugs that, you know, you're an adult. And, okay, so you're doing your drugs. Good, do them. But you want to give them to little kids, too? Come on, man. You sound like Hunter Biden trying to pull that shit. This guy's trying to get off, but he's so aggressive that he doesn't want to let me on. Oh, it's a new driver. So I don't know, where did that story come from? I'm going to have to recidivate a little bit. I was reading Zhuangzi, and Zhuangzi talked about decadence and staying away from trying to accumulate too much knowledge and learning, and just keep it grassroots. He said when you learn about traps and snares and hunting, then all of the animals are in confusion. And when you promote things like academic excellence, then the schools and universities are in confusion. And I thought, well, fuck, you know, then how do you promote learning among folks, kids? Because that's what you're supposed to do. And so I got into class today with that attitude, bringing it over with me. And I was like, I'm just going to review things, and I'm just not going to push them, you know. Try to lead them out a little bit and give them something to chew on each day and every day. It's kind of what I do anyway. Because they're under enough stress from all their other classes where the teachers are really getting it, you know, really chastising them and pushing them and trying to make them feel bad about getting, you know, poor grades and shit, and judging them very harshly. Whereas, like, there's this one kid in my class, William, does nothing. I can't even get him to write. I mean, he wrote one paragraph and it was so terrible, and I just tried to encourage him. I'm like, if you can just refine, I said, if you could just correct and refine that one paragraph over the course of the semester, you pass with a C. I said, if you start paying attention in class and try your hardest, I'll give you an A. Or, you know, not even your hardest, just fucking try. Just pay attention 50% of the time. And now he's like, I'll take the C. I'm like, but you gotta, I said, you gotta, you know, you gotta revise and refine that single paragraph you wrote in half a semester's time over the next half of the semester. And it's like, if you're not gonna get in there and correct the spelling and try to figure out some of the grammar, then you're not even gonna get a C, bro. I'm gonna give you an F. I mean, you know, I don't threaten with an F. He knows I'm not going to give him a bad grade no matter what he does. But yeah, he's going to get the minimum grade, you know, a C at best. Because then there's a guy like Peter who's pretty smart and tries a little harder, pays attention about 50% of the time. And then there's a guy like Travis who I thought was never paying attention, but actually has been. Like, I opened up his journal today to check it, and he had all kinds of shit in there. And I'm like, yeah, all right, bro. You're getting it. You're feeling, you know, you're doing, because I try to assign a couple of activities per week, you know, and then give them, because I got 8 classes a week with these one particular group of kids. And so I don't want to give them too much work and make it feel overbearing. And then I'll just give them the assignment and then just lecture on aspects of it all week long. Show videos and shit, you know. Sometimes just take a whole class and just be like, hey, just work on what I've already given you. If you got questions about it, you can't figure it out, ask me. All right, I'm going to enjoy my JP Farrell. We've gone long in the tooth. Let's get some yo's out in Happy Land. Y'all good-looking, sexy people. Keep on keeping on. If you're wondering about the red face, it's because our temperatures have dropped to like 2 and 3 below zero, and the cold wind blows on your face. It's called chafing. Chapped. I got chapped cheeks. I will see you in the future.